everybody, it's Dr. Sandman. I hope that all of you are doing great. So today I have kind of a different kind of tarot review or first impressions. It's a comparison video. So I recently got the original Rider-Waite Smith deck, and I have the reflective tarot, and these two are very similar for reasons that will become obvious. So the reason why I'm comparing these is because everyone and their brother has seen the original Rider-Waite Smith deck, and I don't think that would be a very interesting video. I'm going to be comparing the original to the reflective tarot because they're similar in many ways. And instead of like reviewing the cards, because it's a Rider-Waite Smith tarot, what's there to review, you know what I mean? I've worked with so many Rider-Waite Smith clones that this is not going to be anything new. So instead of doing a review, I'm going to be doing a comparison, and as I do a comparison, a side-by-side comparison, I'm going to be talking about my experience and thoughts on the Rider-Waite Smith deck and my little journey with it, if you will. Also, if you could tell by the sound of my voice, I'm just getting over having the flu. If you hear my voice sounding funny, no you don't. With that being said, of course the original artist of this is Pamela Coleman Smith, or Pixie Smith, and I don't actually know who illustrated this. Recolored by Virginijus Poshkus. That is who recolored this. So the main similarity between these is that it's exactly the same art, essentially. So this is, the reflective tarot is based off of the Radiant Rider-Waite, which I don't like. And the reason why I don't like the Radiant Rider-Waite deck is because I just don't like the art. It's for those wondering, the difference between the Radiant Rider-Waite and the original is not much. The difference is that it's just drawn by a different person. Everything is exactly the same. The characters, the posture, the lines, the colors, every detail is exactly the same. It's just drawn by a different person. Other than that, they are exactly the same. So you might be thinking, why would I even get this deck if I know that I don't like the art in it? Well, the reason is because it's a lot smaller than the standard card deck, so it's a lot harder to see the details about it that I don't enjoy. And it's also reflective, it's also iridescent, which is super fun. And the cards are way more iridescent than the box, so that also obscures a lot of the parts of the style that I don't appreciate. And I like reflective rainbows. So we have a very exciting comparison to go through today. The original, the OG, versus this shiny new rainbow version. So let's get started, shall we? Starting with the original Rider-Waite. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, this is where it's at, homie. So these backs, the lilies, is my favorite backing for the original Rider-Waite Smith deck. Oh my god, it's so classic, it's very nostalgic, and it actually, in my opinion, suits the deck. We have under here hiding is the reflective tarot featuring the Radiant Rider-Waite tarot. Then it has a guidebook, pretty standard. Let's compare the decks side by side now. So first let's start off with the backs. So we have the classic lily motif for the Rider-Waite Smith, the original, and then for the reflective we have this kind of mandala-esque pattern, and the backs are not reflective or iridescent, in case that's something that matters to you. And of course the Rider-Waite Smith original is the standard size for tarot, and the reflective is a bit smaller, and they're both matte, not glossy. Good, love to see it. And yeah, let's get into checking these out. So first we have the Fool, and as you can see, this is like obviously the classic imagery, and this is it's just ever so slightly different. What I was trying to explain earlier, how it's just illustrated by a different person, and I just prefer this illustration style in the mediums that they used here. And what I love about this deck is that it's the original colors too. Like, so back in 1909, these are the colors that would have been seen on the original tarot. Now I just want to talk about my experience with the Rider-Waite Smith deck, because I have a tumultuous relationship with it, or at least I used to. And now I'm just gonna show you how they differ. And the camera does not pick up just how vibrant and rainbow and reflective these are. So these are even more iridescent in real life than they are in camera, just to let you know. So I actually used to really not be able to stand the original Rider-Waite Smith deck because I don't know, I just really didn't like it. I thought that the illustrations were very stagnant. I thought that the portrayal of the people in the decks wasn't very diverse, which is true. The only really diversity that you see in these decks is with age. But beyond that, I didn't respond to the illustrations at all. I didn't really like the style, and for years I avoided it. I did what I could to just not use it, not pick up a deck, and I didn't really appreciate it. I really took it for granted. And yeah, I couldn't stand it. I really hated it. But nowadays I really adore it. So years ago I hated it. I didn't like the art. I didn't respond to the colors, which to me now sounds crazy because I adore the colors. And especially knowing that the colors have their own meaning. And I just really hated it. I loved more modern contemporary decks more than I had any interest for the original Rider-Waite Smith. I really wanted busier images, and now that I've actually studied the Rider-Waite Smith deck, I understand that the images are so busy. There's so much symbolism within them, and I didn't really appreciate that before. And after working with it and studying what every individual symbol in every card means, I adore the Rider-Waite Smith deck. I'm a fiend for it. I have lots of different versions of it now. Now I have the reflective, the original. I have the one that you can get in every new age shop that has like the gross plaid backings that I hate. And I have the Centennial edition in a tin, which I really love. I love the colors on that one. And I plan on getting more. I really do. There's just something about it. It's so classic, and now looking at the imagery, it's very nostalgic as well. And yeah, and now I'm never turning back. Like I work at a shop where I sell tarot and I do tarot readings, and I get a lot of people asking what I would recommend for their first deck. And I always tell them, go with your gut feeling. If there's one that you're really drawn to, you might want to try that one out. But beyond that, I always 100% of the time recommend the Rider-Waite Smith deck. Because it's the standard, and it's the standard for a reason. Most contemporary tarot decks are based off of the Rider-Waite Smith deck, whether they're clones or not. And if it's really important to understand where the original symbols came from and why the symbols were chosen and what they mean, and especially if you work with hermetics and everything, the colors are super important to. Oh, we're on different what do you call it, suits now, so I gotta find the right ones. Okay, we're back on track. But yeah, so I think it's really important and integral to learn the Rider-Waite Smith if you're going into tarot. I think that the history of it is really important to learn. I believe that once you understand the Rider-Waite Smith tarot deck, it makes reading most other versions of the tarot exceptionally easy, especially like if you go with a new deck and you are unfamiliar, because like the symbols that they use are very different. If you could remember what the Rider-Waite Smith version of that card looks like, then you'll remember the symbols and you'll remember what the symbols mean. So I always say that you should start off learning with a Rider-Waite Smith. I actually didn't start off learning with it. I started learning with a pip deck, which made my journey very difficult and gave me a slow start. And if I could go back, I would start with a Rider-Waite Smith. But at the end of the day, it's entirely your choice what deck you want to start with and what calls to you. People of all kinds read all different decks. And that's what makes reading tarot so beautiful, is that you could have 100 different readers pull the same card and they'd all give it a different interpretation. That, of course, there'd be some overlap in the meanings and interpretations, but generally speaking, everyone can get something different out of each card, and none of them will be like entirely off, you know what I mean? Your intuition plays a very important role in reading tarot. I do recommend it, and as being your first deck if you're learning. And I know that there are some people out there who vastly prefer the Thoth tarot deck. I can't be fucked to care about the Thoth tarot. I'm sorry, I have no like positive feelings towards it. I have no fondness for that deck. If I could go the rest of my life never having to look at it, I would be so fine with that. Oh, another difference I noticed is that they actually spell out the words for the numbers and have the names of the suits in the minor arcana for the reflective tarot. In the original, they just have, of course, the symbol somewhere on the card, and then the Roman numeral. So if that's something that matters to you, that's something to take into account. So I don't care about the Thoth tarot. I'm sorry. I appreciate what it is, what it's done for the tarot community. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Unlike the Rider-Waite Smith, I don't think that there's anything on this planet that could make me change my mind about it. I have a very visceral reaction whenever I go through it, whenever I look at the cards. I very much dislike it in so many ways, to a level that I can't even articulate why I hate it so much. Apologies if it's your favorite deck, but to each their own. And that's also why I don't really like very minimalistic decks, is because I like all the symbols in the cards. And something that is so beautiful about the Rider-Waite Smith is that I've been reading with it for years now, and I've studied it for so long, and there are details in it that I'm just now noticing for the first time. Like, I noticed, I don't know what card it is, I can't remember, because this was actually very recent that I picked up on this, but there's a card where, oh, it's actually the next one, so we'll get to that. So beautiful. I do love the rainbows in this. It's this one. So the Seven of Wands, I noticed for the very first time, very recently, that he's wearing two different shoes. I never picked up on that before. And that in and of itself has so much symbolism and so much meaning to delve into. So, oops, that's my bad. So that's another really beautiful part about the Rider-Waite Smith deck. And I know a lot of people call it the Rider-Waite deck or the RWS, or just the Rider-Waite. I like to call it the Rider-Waite Smith because I like to acknowledge the work that Pixie or Pamela Coleman Smith did. She is the artist. She created these images that we're also familiar with, and I think it's kind of an insult to not include her name in the title because she was such an integral role in this. But yeah, it's so beautiful. So I've had ups and downs with the Rider-Waite Smith. I started off hating it. I could not care, and then I just started learning literally anything about it. I started learning what the history of the images meant. Like, I learned that the Four of Swords was depicting a knight's vigil, and I learned what that means pertaining to the cards meaning. And I learned that the was it the Eight of Wands used to be called the Arrows of Love, and there's just so much history behind it, and I just really didn't appreciate anything to do with it before, and now I really do. And again, I used to just look at the art and go, yuck. Like, nothing about it was inspiring to me, and now I adore it. It's so beautiful. It's so just captivating to me now, and it wasn't before. So, and I've talked to other people who felt the same way, that they just felt like the art was so stagnant and stiff. But who knows, maybe if you're watching this and you're feeling the same way, maybe like you just need to spend some time with it and see how you feel and develop your own relationship with it. That's what it took for me. So yeah, that's why I'm talking about my relationship with the Waite Smith rather than reviewing the cards, because we've all seen these a million times now, and I've reviewed 1 or 2 versions of this on my channel as well. So I don't think it's really necessary. I just thought I'd talk to you about my experience with this deck and its art. And it's so lovely. I adore it. I do wish that the original Waite Smith came in a different box. I wish it came in a more traditional box, because I don't really like the ones that open this way rather than any other way. And I don't like that it isn't the shape of the cards, because I want it to be easier to transport. That's my deal with it. But you know, again, these cards are so much more vibrant and colorful in person than they are on camera. This is my favorite Minor Arcana card. I recently, I was visiting my friend Bonnie, and I bought them their first tarot deck, and theirs was the Waite Smith but round, which was so cool. I don't think I could ever use a round deck. They let me shuffle it a few times, and I just can't vibe with the shape of it. I can't shuffle round circular cards. It doesn't feel nice in my hands. But I do appreciate it from an artistic standpoint. It makes it really interesting to read with. They did my readings a few times, and it definitely had a very unique element to it. My favorite of the Waite Smith cards would have to be, of course, the 3 of Cups, as just mentioned, and then I'd have to say for the major arcana, obviously, the Fool and Death. And I'm starting to get a really big appreciation for the Temperance card as well. I also really love the Hanged Man and what it represents. Nearing the end. Yeah, you see, this is just, there's so much more ink on this, and it's just, I don't know, I just prefer the art style in the original. It feels too modern in a way that I don't really vibe with. I will say this though, that in person, not on camera, but in person, the iridescence and the color shifting of it does distract from the style a little bit, which I like, but if you like the art, that might not be preferable to you. Go. So let's do the shuffling test, shall we? I feel like, oh, these are so smooth. Ooh, I'm at a weird angle, so it's gonna be hard to shuffle. Oh, yep. Okay, classic, love it. Love it, okay. And then for the reflective, let's see how these fare. Oh yeah, these shuffle great. These shuffle just fine. Okay, so they both passed the shuffling test. Now to rate them, if I had to be very critical, I'd of course give this a 10 out of 10. I just love the original Rider-Waite Smith deck. It's so perfect in every way, and the symbols and the art, the shape, the texture of the cards. I love the backs. And oh my gosh, just how could you not adore it? And then for the reflective tarot, oh, look at how that splays out. Isn't that lovely? Oh, that's so fun. I would have to give it, you know what? Yeah, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. The only thing that I really like is something that I can't even notice that well when using it and looking at it, which is the the medium that the artist used. And like some of the color choices, but it's overtaken by the rainbow. If this was just the Radiant Rider-Waite, then I don't think I would like it that much. I think I would give it like a 5 or a 4. But given how the iridescence benefits it, I have to give it a 9. It's just so gorgeous. So yeah, that is the flip through of these two versions of the Rider-Waite Smith deck. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up or leave a comment if you'd like. I do tons of tarot, oracle, and Lenormand themed videos on my channel. I have a whole playlist for those. Subscribe for more videos, and I will leave all my social media and links in the description below. Bye.